All eyes are on the Supreme Court today. Bench led by Chief Justice Surya Kant will be hearing CBI's plea against High Court order granting bail to Unnao rape convict Kuldeep Sengar, offering a glimmer of hope to the survivor and her supporters amid fears for their safety. On Sunday, rape survivor and her mother staged protests at Delhi's Jantar Mantar seeking justice. In fact, she asserted that faith in the Supreme Court and alleged that Sengar bribed High Court judge to get bail. India today had exclusively accessed CBI plea in apex court, which stated that High Court order sends a very troubling message in cases of sexual violence against children. The probing agency also warned that suspending the sentence of a powerful convict in such circumstances undermines public confidence in the criminal justice system.
कुलदीप सेंगर को अपील रोकते हुए, निलंबित करते हुए, सजा रोकते हुए उनको छोड़ दिया गया। कुलदीप सेंगर के परिवार मिलने जाता है, कुलदीप सेंगर से मिलता है, लेकिन उसमें कुलदीप सेंगर लोग मिलके, भाई परिवार भी जेल में नहीं है और लेकिन बाहर से सेटिंग बनाई गई। मुझे 1 करोड़ रुपए की ब्रजभूषण सैन जी को सुपारी उनसे कहकर सुपारी दिलाई गई ताकि रेप विक्टिम को खत्म करो और हम बाहर आए। और जज साहब बिक चुके, सीबीआई का आयु बिक चुका है। आदित्य जी महाराज ने यही मेरी गुहार है कि मैं ऐसा कर दीजिए, ऐसे लोग को संरक्षण देना बंद कर दे, उनको पार्टी से निकाल दे।
कुलदीप सेंगर एक विधायक 10-15 विधायक भेजी, हम माँ बेटी को मारने के लिए आया था, मारी नहीं, हमका माँ बेटी का पूरे परिवार का मार रहे घसीट। कुलदीप सेंगर ने भेज रखा था यहाँ जंतर मंतर में। हमको किनको भरोसा नहीं, हम इस साथ कहीं भी जाए कि हमारे बच्चों को सिक्योरिटी देने, मेरे परिवार को खत्म कर दिया जाएगा, मेरे बच्ची को सेफ रखा जाए, मेरे सारे बच्चों को।
And my colleague Anisha Mathur is now joining us with more details on this. Anisha, all eyes today are on the Supreme Court, hoping for justice for the rape survivor. Tell us about the CBI's plea against the High Court's order.
Well, the CBI has raised a three-pronged plea effectively. First of all, that the High Court's interpretation of Sengar not falling within the public servant definition is incorrect, that the order is legally unsustainable, that MPs and MLAs, in fact, inherently are holding publicly responsible positions, and therefore the definition that should have been taken into account is the more inclusive one, which would cover all the situations. Secondly, what they've said is that the POCSO Act was specifically created with the intention of protecting children, and therefore, since children and their protection is the question of the law, the court should have taken a more purposive interpretation of the definitions. Thirdly, of course, they've said that Sengar is a very influential person, that he is somebody who has been a 4-time MLA, he's somebody who's politically powerful, and particularly in the local area, and therefore his release on bail or any kind of relief to him would potentially put the victim and her family in grave danger. In fact, the CBI has pointed out the fact that the victim, the girl, is still under CRPF security. In fact, her family had been under security till May, and the security assessment had said earlier also that she was under threat by Kuldeep Sengar, and that is exactly why the Supreme Court had passed directions to transfer her to Delhi, to give her protection and residence here. Back to you.
All right, Anisha, thank you for those details, but do stay with us and let's take a look at what the CBI has mentioned in its plea challenging the High Court's order to suspend the sentence of Sengar, who is a convict in this case. Now, the CBI mentions that the Delhi High Court order is legally unsustainable given the gravity of the offence. So, the CBI has clearly stated that the Delhi High Court did not give enough weight to the crime, this heinous crime of rape, and hence ordered the suspension of the sentence of Sengar. The CBI goes on to say that Sengar's release poses real risk given the influence he wields. So he has been a former BJP MLA, and that is what he's a very influential man. That is what the CBI mentions, and there's of course security and safety risk to the survivor, and he also poses risk as in he can influence the witnesses as well if he is released. This is what the CBI mentions. The CBI goes on to say that bail to Sengar sends troubling message in sexual abuse cases. Now, giving bail to convicts in such cases gives out a very troubling message to the public, and also doubts erupt within the public over the judicial system in the country. Now, the High Court failed to adopt a meaningful interpretation of the POCSO Act is also what the CBI has mentioned, that the POCSO Act was not evenly applied in this case. The convict Sengar does not fall in definition of the public servant is what the CBI has mentioned in its plea to the Supreme Court. Long incarceration can't lead to life-term suspension in heinous crimes. This is a very important point, that just because a person has been in jail for a very long time does not mean that his sentence will be suspended, that too in cases like this where a heinous crime like rape is involved.